The Tigers are blanked in game 2 of this series, setting up a rubber match today. Let's talk about that and more all today on Locked On Tigers.
You are Locked On Tigers, your daily Detroit Tigers podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another edition of Locked On Tigers. I'm, of course, your host, Scott Bentley. Today is Wednesday, April 23rd, 2025. Thank you so much for making Locked On Tigers your first listen every single day. We are free and available wherever you get your podcasts, including YouTube, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Happy Wednesday, everybody, the halfway point of the week here. We are going to discuss the Tigers' 2-0 loss at the hands of the San Diego Padres on Tuesday evening, and then preview this rubber match during the day today, assuming you're listening to this on Wednesday. There's a few other things, roster moves, injury stuff. There's been, honestly, a lot of that stuff lately. So we'll talk about that a little bit when we get to stuff there at the end as well. But first, we are going to talk about this 2-0 loss. The Tigers are now 14-10 on the year, and the Guardians can't lose. So the Tigers do fall out of first place in the American League Central for the first time in a while, in a few weeks for sure, since that 0-3 start to the year. Half a game. It's April. I don't really care. My first thought in this ball game was that this was a tough loss, but it's also not the end of the world. You still have a chance to take a series against the team with the best record in baseball. That is still very much on the table, and you're at home. And Nick Pivetta is good. And the Padres bullpen is literally the best bullpen in the sport as it stands going into the game on April 23rd. So anytime you get blanked, it is frustrating, okay? I'm not here to tell you otherwise. There were some frustrating moments in this baseball game for sure, and we will talk about those. But the pitching kept them in it until the end. It wasn't an uncompetitive ball game. The Padres offense was pretty darn quiet too. And I think that this game really epitomizes the losses of the season so far. Even when they lose, for the most part, the games are close and they are within reach, which makes them frustrating because you know that you have the potential to win and you're leaving some wins on the table. But I'd also much rather have, even the games where we're behind late within reach. And that is the reoccurring theme all season, up to this point at least. What are we, 24 games in to the young season still. So I think that is why they are off to such a solid start. And it's weird to bring that point up in a shutout loss, but that is why they are still 14-10 and among some of the best records in the American League, despite the injuries on the offensive side of the ball that have racked up so aggressively. They are in every single ball game. So let's talk about what went wrong in this ball game. This is going to shock you, okay? In a 2-0 loss, what went wrong was, in fact, the offense. We can go kind of individual by individual, and then I'll talk about the approach team-wide and why I think they struggled with Pivetta specifically. I think Pivetta is kind of a kryptonite for this lineup. But individually, you had Carpenter play, which is a great sign just in general. Didn't look that great, though. Aside from just the fact that he went 0 for, just put together some really weird swings, some really odd swings, which is something, especially from righties, we don't see too terribly often from Carpenter when a righty is on the mound, and just saw some ugly swings. Not worried whatsoever, mostly just concerned about his health and his ability to play consistently going forward, because that is going to be vital for this team. well, all season. I was going to say, in the foreseeable future, but really for 162 games. It's going to be really important for Kerry Carpenter to be as healthy as possible. Riley Greene, 0 for 4 with 2 strikeouts. That ninth inning was frustrating because Greene and Torkelson both saw fastballs literally right down the middle, and neither of them did anything with it. Torkelson got under it, just fly out to shallow center field, right field, wherever that ball ended up, and then Greene just completely swung through it and was late on it. So I mean, like Riley Greene did have a hard hit line drive for whatever it's worth. Like we can get super, glass half full on you here if you really want to still, but I didn't think he looks particularly good at the plate still. I think that he is still fighting it a little bit, and especially his first at bat. One of his first 2 at bats of the ball game were like one of the worst I've seen from him in recent memory. So clearly is still fighting it, and those hits over the weekend and from that last series did not just automatically translate into him putting this slump kind of behind him. So we'll keep an eye on that. Jace Young, 0 for 3 with 2 strikeouts. I mean, this is still a really small sample size, and he looked okay in AAA. So we'll see. I'm not here to tell you like he went 0 for 3 with 2 strikeouts against the Padres, so that means like he sucks. We'll keep an eye on him. But the at-bats were not super inspiring, just still late on velocity. That was something that was a big problem for him last year. Had a hard time with power last year. Still has 0 major league home runs despite the amount of games he's played at the major league level now. And I thought that was kind of highlighted in this game. But we'll talk about a positive from Young's performance a little bit later. You had some base runners in this game. I mean, 5, it's not too terribly much, not super great offense as a team, but even the at-bats you did seem to get, especially as the outing went along, just seemed to happen with 2 outs. And that's tough, man. Unless you're going to do bloop and a blast, it's really tough to get a rally going with 2 outs against this pitching staff the Padres are throwing out there. My biggest takeaway from this game, though, is that I think Nick Pivetta specifically is kind of an Achilles heel for this Tigers lineup. And Pivetta's a solid pitcher. He's had a solid career. He's pretty sought after in free agency. The Padres, that was a signing that a lot of people really liked. And he's had a fantastic start to this season. I think he's got a sub-2 even going into this outing. So, 1.2 ERA so far. He's been one of the better pitchers in baseball so far in the young season. But he is as the broadcast did a great job of mentioning, Benetti and Petrie did a great job of bringing it up a few times. He is a reverse split guy. And so I want to talk about how this lineup maybe reacted to a pitcher that neutralizes lefties, even though he is a righty. Okay, we'll talk about that right after this. Got to talk to y'all today about our friends over at Supply House. Get the supplies you need from the site that is made for the skilled trades. Supply House. Whether into plumbing, HVAC, or electrical work, Supply House is the reliable way to order products online. Their easy-to-use website is packed with helpful resources and the latest product info to help you get the job done right. Plus, with a complete inventory of over 200,000 parts from 400 top brands, you'll find exactly what you need delivered fast from coast to coast. If you need help with an order, well, Supply House offers expert support and industry-leading service, so you'll always talk to a real person. And for trade pros looking for that extra edge, their free TradeMaster program offers exclusive perks like a dedicated phone line, free shipping, and discounts on every order. Thousands of skilled professionals are already taking advantage, and now it's your turn. So join the TradeMaster program today at supplyhouse.com/TM and start ordering plumbing, HVAC, and electrical supplies with just a few clicks. Plus, use promo code SH5 for 5% off of your first order. That's supplyhouse.com. All right, everybody, welcome back here. Segment 2, Locked On Tigers. Appreciate y'all for tuning in, as always, making us your first listen every single day. Shout out to the everydayers that do tune in every day, and we will, of course, be back tomorrow as we recap the series finale against the Padres. Hopefully can walk out of this series with a win over the team with, as I've said a billion times over the last 2 episodes, the best record in baseball. Excuse me. Goodness. So, talked before the break there about how Pivetta was really just a bad matchup for the Tigers, in my opinion. And again, that is not me disrespecting Pivetta. It's the opposite. He's been fantastic this year. But because he is a reverse splits guy, I don't think that the Tigers lineup really has anybody in it that can take advantage of a righty that is better against lefties than righties, except for Torkelson. And for whatever it's worth, I don't think Torkelson had a very bad game. He went 0 for 4, but no strikeouts, was putting the ball in play, crushed one baseball that went about 400 feet, but it went to dead center in Comerica. I actually thought his at-bats looked fine. So I don't have an issue with that. That's just going to happen sometimes over the course of 162. But I really don't think this lineup is built to accommodate an opposing pitcher whose strengths are opposite platoon from the right side. So we'll see. I mean, maybe I'm totally off base. Maybe we'll play not Pivetta again because interleague, but maybe we'll face a reverse splits guy later in the year and absolutely crush him. I have no idea, but just the thought I had watching this game, I think this is kind of a lineup that is built for Pivetta to do really well at specifically. Only one runner made it past first base the entire game for the Detroit Tigers, and they went 0 for 1 with RISP. So tip of the cap to Pivetta. That curveball is something fierce, man. It always has been when he locates it well, and that paired with the fastball, because of how well he tunnels those two pitches together, makes it for a nightmare scenario for lefties because he's able to go fastball up and away to lefties, and then 12-6 curveball outside. It looks like it's just going to be a high fastball. I mean, you saw those swings that Carpenter took against the high fastball. He swung at all of them because he's just like, well, I got to protect in case this is the curveball. Just really tough at bats, really uncomfortable. He's a heck of a pitcher. A guy that was offered a qualifying offer. And the Padres look like they got a good one there as, he is a pretty good pitcher. Let's talk about what went right for the Detroit Tigers because it was the pitching. To no surprise to anybody at this point. Jack Flaherty, 6 innings, 5 hits, 2 earned runs, no walks, 9 strikeouts. The one home run against, this game certainly is not on Jack Flaherty whatsoever. He made one bad pitch. That's literally it. He threw one terrible slider, and he knew it out the hand. The second he threw it, he started having a facial reaction that was very, very negative. Like he just, smelled something gross or saw something disturbing. The second he threw it, and that was it. That was all the offense for the entire ballgame was off of one pitch. And it wasn't a good pitch, but he threw almost 100. And, the other, however many he threw, 99, 98, were all really good. He threw 96 pitches. 95 of them were pretty darn good. He has a 2.63 ERA, 15 whiffs in this outing. I think the thing that really stood out to me the most was how reliant he was on the curveball in this one. Usually Flaherty is very big on fastball slider and tunneling those, being able to go fastball really in any quadrant and then slider low and away to righties gets people every time because he's not afraid to go fastball away. So they look like the same pitch until they don't, kind of thing. So that's something. But in this game, in a lineup in San Diego that is so right-handed heavy, in a bench, like a team in general that just has so many right-handed hitters, for him to go very, very reliant on curveball, I think is a wonderful adjustment on his part and is something that worked really well. And I'm not sure if that was completely just matchup based or whether it was also partially just due to, the bad slider he threw, or maybe he wasn't feeling it too terribly well. I don't know, but the curveball was easily his best pitch. And it was incredible. He had 10 swings and misses on his curveball alone. And it's always been a good pitch, but it's always been his third pitch. And in this game, it was very clearly his his second most thrown, but arguably his number one in terms of effectiveness. So, yeah, really good. I mean, a really solid outing. Just through one pitch that he wants back, and that's just how baseball goes. Some days he's going to get tagged with the loss here. Unfortunately, he's 1-2 with a 2.6 ERA. Like, what are you going to do, man? Hopefully that evens itself out over the course of the long season. And then the other thing I want to bring up is just bullpen. Fantastic again, man. I want to give a ton of credit to the front office and Scott Harris. The 0 earned runs for the pen again in this one. You had Bailey Horn and Chase Lee go out there, both throw over an inning and give up 0 runs to, again, the team with the best record in baseball. This is something that speaks so highly of Scott Harris and Greenberg and really the entire front office that they've put together and how focused they are on bringing in arm talent. But I think it's also a testament to the pitching factory that is the Tigers pitching development. The guys that are down there hands-on, boots to ground in the minor league system. And then maybe nobody more important to this whole thing than Fetter and London Nieves. Those 3 guys have completely revolutionized what it means to be a pitcher in the Tigers organization. Legitimately. Like it now comes with a what's the word I'm thinking of? A reputation, right? Like if you are a pitcher in the Tigers organization, you have really good stuff and you are being developed the right way. And there's a pretty good chance that you're going to be an effective major league pitcher. And that's something that I only could have dreamed of growing up. The player development has never been a priority for this organization, even when they were good. Dombrowski was Mr. Wheel and Deal. He was going to go just trade for good talent, and he was very good at it. He's one of the best GMs in the history of baseball. But the priority to do that has been so great. So I really want to highlight that, man. Like this is Bailey Horn, 1 1/3, 1 hit, no earned runs, no walks, 2 strikeouts. This is a lefty that throws mid-90s and is a guy that the Tigers reacquired after losing him. They traded for him after losing him on waivers, and they picked him up off waivers earlier in the offseason. They acquired him twice this winter. That's how high they are on him. His stuff was electric. Now, the command was a little iffy at times. He was kind of spraying the ball all over the place a little bit there, but he gave up 1 base runner, struck out 2 batters. And again, that's against a lineup that has a lot of righties in it. And AJ is brilliant and is a mastermind and deployed him against a part of a lineup that was going to be a lot of the lefties that are in the Padres lineup, but he handled it all in stride, man. Righty, lefty, didn't matter. Anybody could get it. And I was really impressed. And then Chase Lee is just awesome. Like, obviously, anytime you see a debut, that's just going to be cool. But we're going to focus strictly on the pitching side of things. This is a guy we talked about a lot in spring training and over the winter this year as somebody that could rise up through this organization quickly. And I'm glad we talked about him in the dog days of December and January for moments like this, because his arm slot is so unique that getting that from, it's not quite like pure sidearm where it's just like, at exactly whatever that is, 90 degree, 180, whatever your angle, whatever your starting point is for the angle there, but just completely, not completely to the side, but very close to, and it makes it, they had Scott Harris in the booth for this game, and everybody was kind of talking about how he makes your life miserable if you're a right-handed hitter. And so it was interesting hearing Harris say the Padres have a lot of right-handed hitters, so we feel really good about what Chase Lee can bring to this series. And I wonder if that means that it's going to be kind of a revolving door and maybe there's somebody else that comes up after this series or when they face a team that maybe has more lefties. But he is clearly a righty specialist. That's a guy that was topping out at 90, 91 miles an hour, but it's a sinker. And if you have ever played, and you're a righty, and you have ever played baseball against a pitcher that has a sinker or a 2-seam fastball or something like that, and throws that thing to you on the inner half of the plate, it looks like it's going 9 million miles an hour, even if it's not even close to that, because of the angle, right? It's also moving in, it's moving towards you. So not only do you have to deal with any velocity that he does have? You also have to deal with the movement of it moving in on your hands as you swing. You have to be earlier than a straight fastball that is the same velocity, because you have to catch the barrel up to the ball moving in. I sorry if I'm like over explaining this, but I think it's a brilliant asset to have. And he's another funky angle that this bullpen has to use to its deployment. And I think that they just make the opponent's lives miserable when AJ starts deploying the bullpen, man. And that's the reason this game was even as close as it was. Javi in center field, I thought looked pretty darn good out there yet again, man. I've yet to be like disappointed with him in center field. I've yet to see, and he hasn't been challenged too terribly much, but he looks really solid out there. I've yet to see Javi make a play out there in center field that now naturally it'll happen, this game because I talked about it, but like, you can blame me. That's fine. But it's just, he looks like just a ball player, man. That's just Javi in a nutshell. Jace Young defensively, I thought looked good. That should have been an out. That diving play he made, that was actually a really athletic play by him at third, which I didn't see at all last year. I've been really impressed with the defense at third base from him so far. I thought his arm looked pretty good in this series as a whole as well. It's going back to game one and on that throw. That's just a ball that Torkelson has to scoop. That was not a difficult scoop. And I think Torque would probably tell you the same thing. Usually Torkelson very good at scooping the baseball. So, yeah, that's pretty much all I got for what went right. Obviously, nothing really offensively. Let's talk stuff, okay? We'll do that right after this. Got to talk to y'all today about our friends over at Wonderful Pistachios. Looking for a snack that's maybe both delicious and nutritious? Well, crack into a good source of protein with Wonderful Pistachios. Wonderful Pistachios is one of the highest protein nuts, with each 1 ounce serving containing 6 grams of protein. That gives you over 10% of your daily value. Plus, they're packed with fiber and better for you unsaturated fats that'll keep you feeling fuller longer. Personally, I love the no-shells variety. It's the perfect grab-and-go snack for busy days, whether I'm snacking at my desk, I'm on a road trip, or just need a quick protein boost. They're always my go-to. And if you love cracking open every shell for that satisfying crunch, well, the in-shell options are available and are a classic favorite as well. So get snacking and get cracking with a snack that packs a protein punch. Visit wonderfulpistachios.com to learn more. All right, everybody, welcome back here. Third and final segment of Locked On Tigers. Appreciate you all for tuning in, as always. So, talking about this 2-0 loss to the Padres, let's talk stuff. So, Mason McCoy put on a defensive masterclass over at second base for the Padres. Talked about how great the pitching was. It was great. It was great. I'm not taking anything away from the pitching. They absolutely sliced and diced the Tigers for 9 innings, but that dude had himself a night. And that's aside from just the 7th or 8th inning or whatever that was where he had the play against the net and the diving play. He was great all game. So tip of the cap to him. Has struggled offensively so far in his major league career. But it's clearly athletic enough to man a few different positions, and certainly is pretty solid at second base there. Chase Lee, talked about him on the mound. Want to talk about off the mound, just the pageantry of a major league debut. There's nothing like it, man. Absolutely fantastic. Awesome story. They talked about on the broadcast how he's been traveling for like 3 years with, nice dress up clothes so that, if he ever does get called up, he's ready and kind of dressed for the moment. Just so awesome. Seeing his family, his newborn, his wife, his parents, just seeing everybody there to support him. There is just nothing like it, man. I love this dumb, beautiful game so much. And a major league debut just really makes you realize how cool it all is. And what a unique debut, man. Not only was he great against a great team, but it is, the comebacker double play to start off your major league career, and then loading the bases, but then getting a strikeout and just all of it, man. I'm so happy for him. And honestly, I think this dude is an asset. I really do. I think this is, you hear all the time about a lefty specialist. I genuinely think that sinker inside to, tunnel it with a slider low and away is going to fool a lot of righties. And I think that that's kind of what his specialty is going to be for this team going forward. So I really, barring injury, I do not think this is the last we see of him. It wouldn't even surprise me if he stuck around when some of these arms got healthy again. Speaking of some of these arms and their current health status, that was a shaky transition, but we'll take it. John Brebbia to the injured list. Bailey Horn, obviously, is the player. I mean, he pitched in this game, so you all know that by now. That actually happened earlier this week and just didn't have time to talk about it until now. So figured what not a better time than his season debut here. And then Cater Montero sent down to AAA and Chase Lee, the one that replaces him. So that does indicate to me we're going to go back to a 5-man rotation, which I'm happy about. Montero has a lot of command stuff he's got to work on. And again, I know a lot of people would rather see him in that low leverage, long inning kind of relief role than Kenta Maeda. I get it. I would too in a perfect world. But just two things. One, they still owed Maeda money. So they're still, and I know that nobody wants to hear that excuse, but ultimately it's reality. So we'll see how much longer this leash gets before the Tigers are like, okay, this is kind of, fork in the road. We got to make a decision here. I would have made it already. I think if, assuming we had permission rather from ownership to do so. Can I talk ever? My goodness. I'm sorry. But we'll see how much longer Maeda lasts. But I think the biggest thing is something I've talked about a lot over the last year with Montero, and that's that the Tigers want him to develop as a starter until proven otherwise. And so they're going to send him down to AAA to have him work on his command issues in a starting role because his value is at his best when he is a starting pitcher. So we'll see what happens there. I think that's pretty much it. We got game 3, the rubber match. And honestly, like if there was ever a game to lose in this series, it was this one. And that's not me trying to, just blow smoke or like give you hopeless optimism. Like genuinely, I mean, you look at the pitching matchups. Obviously, we don't need to re-talk about game 1 and how well that went offensively. Pavetta is good and has had a great year, and they have a really good bullpen. That's game 2. Game 3 here is Reese Olson against Kyle Hart. Kyle Hart has an ERA of about 6.5, and in his major league career, his ERA is not too far off from around 5 to 6.5. So, like this is a guy that just hasn't. I mean, he's given up 5 earned runs in 2 of his last 3 outings. He's given up more than 1 run in 3 of his 4 starts on the season period, and he only has 10 strikeouts on the year. He does not get swing and miss or get strikeouts. So naturally, now that I'm saying all this, the Tigers will, get like no hit or something. But I think that this is was always the game that I kind of had circled around. Like, okay, if you're going to steal one from the Padres here, it's probably game 3. And the fact that they took game 1 is awesome. So this was kind of always the leverage point you wanted. You wanted to take one of those first 2 games to set you up in this prime position for game 3. And hopefully that's the case. Thanks for making Locked On Tigers your first listen every single day. Shouts to everydayers that do tune in every day. We, of course, will be back tomorrow recapping the series finale. I appreciate you all greatly for tuning in even after a shutout loss. Peace and love. Going to therapy's dope. Check out MLB Game Night. Okay, for me. MLB, Locked On MLB live streams a show. It's a live show right after the final out is made in the final game of MLB's schedule every single night, 7 days a week, and a couple of Locked On hosts go on. There's kind of a revolving door of hosts, and they talk about they recap just the entire day of Major League Baseball games. It's awesome. There's little cut-ins from, you'll see, game recaps from me. You'll see game recaps from some of the other hosts around the league if they have like a big notable game in the day. It's awesome. Please go check it out. Peace and love. Going to therapy's dope. I'll catch y'all tomorrow, baby. Go Tigers.